Welcome all. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe if you want to subscribe. You can also like or dislike. Leave any comments in the video itself. I do read my comments, as I say. I try to answer the comments best of my abilities. When I do get notified as well too, or I will respond to it at least in some aspects if it's some feedback as well too. Please leave some feedback as well too if you want to, as far as to the video or to the channel itself, or any questions related to the channel or related to the content. I'm gonna talk about now about just came back from ESPN or watching First Take, and there was discussion about Russell Wilson, the QB for the Denver Broncos. Um, it's a question of it about basically from what he was last year to this year was like a huge decline. Like it literally like what it was going like from 2015. I mean whatever when he first started with the Seahawks when he was drafted, up and up, 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 basically until like 2020, 2021. He went. It was like there, but then 2022, like right here. So the real question is like, can he be fixed? The real question is was he good in the first place? That's the real question. Let's think about it this way. His coach at the time prior was Pete Carroll. Now let's look at Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll as a coach when he was with the USC Trojans. Two of these quarterbacks that he had, Matt Leinart and Mark Sanchez, they weren't so great. I mean they weren't when they were great under the USC program, especially under him. Then when they came to the NFL, they plumb out sucked. Like Leinart was atrocious with the Cardinals when they drafted him. Sanchez decent enough because of of oh, I forgot the Jets coach. What's his name again? New York Jets coach. Uh, oh, Buddy Ryan's kid. I forgot his name. Rex Ryan. Under Rex Ryan, he did pretty decent enough, but that was because Rex Ryan probably knew how to utilize him basically. And then of course, Pete Carroll becomes the head coach of Seattle, and Russell Wilson starts thriving under him. After he leaves Seattle to Denver, he just went. He plummets. And as you see with Geno Smith, he was with three or four teams like the Jets and Giants for sure, and like he wasn't that great. He was okay, but not great. Comes to Seattle under Pete Carroll, and he's suddenly doing really well. I mean, he's not the second coming of anything, but he's good enough that he's keeping Seattle in the playoff hunt. So the question comes down to is Russell Wilson that good, or was he that good in the first place? If you have a quarterback's coach, maybe he would have been. So, like in reality, for Denver, it's a question of okay, Sean Payton coming on board. If Sean Payton were to come to Denver, he might help resurrect Russell Wilson a little bit because Sean Payton is also known as a quarterback's coach as well too. I mean, let's look what Sean Payton did with Jason Garrett. Decent enough to keep him up there basically to like show what he some of his capabilities and like highlight and highlight on his strengths basically. Probably will be the same thing with Russell Wilson, but in reality, I think it comes down to this: is more of a case where I think it's Pete Carroll. I mean, honestly, if you give him a decent enough quarterback, I think he does really well. So it comes down to a question of like, if he were to let's say get Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield, have a Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, or Josh Rosen. I know he's gone now. I don't know where he's at. Even maybe Daniel Jones. I don't know. Question is like, would Pete Carroll change these quarterbacks to become greater quarterbacks? And I think, honestly, yes, I think he would because I think he's that good of a coach, a QB coach, more than a head coach, more than anything else. I think he revolves enough plays to make the QB look really, really good. And if you surround him with good enough wide receivers, I think also at the same time. But I think that comes down with that comes to play as well too. Like, I don't think that needs to be said. Like, you surround a quarterback with good wide receivers, he becomes really good. But now, if you move that quarterback away from these receivers, what happens to them? And some of those cases, you're seeing it right now with Russell Wilson. I mean, like, not that much, not great quarterback, wide receivers, and he kind of sucks, which shows otherwise. I mean, Peyton Manning leaving Indianapolis to go to Denver, it showed he was still good. I mean, it showed his true skills that because everyone thought, okay, Marvin Harrison and such with with the Indianapolis Colts, that okay, yeah, hey, look, without them, Peyton Manning wouldn't be who he is. I mean, it shows otherwise that when he went to Denver, it shows how good he was. He wasn't great, but that was because of age. But he knew how to manage the game at that point as well too. It's the same thing with Joe Montana. I mean, everyone thought it was Rice, mostly Rice, and the defense and such, basically. With San Francisco, when Montana went to Kansas City Chiefs, you showed how good Joe Montana was. Montana showed just how good he was for those 2 years, basically, where he brought them into the AFC Championship playoffs, basically. So with Russell Wilson, the question is, can he be fixed? Yeah, I think he can be if you get him the right QB type of coach, basically. I mean, honestly, if you get maybe if you get Sean Payton, maybe he helps him out in the long term, basically, or I think I forgot the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I forgot the name. I forgot the QB coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. QB coach. I forgot his name now. No. Not Todd Bowles, Bruce Arlen's, Lovie Smith. I forgot the QB coach name, basically. He was the Jacksonville Jaguars. QB. I forgot his name now. God, it's like on the tip of my tongue. Not Steve Berline, Brunell, Leftwich, Brian Leftwich. I think if you get Brian Leftwich as a QB coach for Russell Wilson, I think it might resurrect his career a little bit. But honestly, I don't think it's a case of like, is Russell Wilson that good? I would say no. I think it's now he's been exposed basically how not great he is. Now the question is with Tom Brady, it shows that it was mostly him that was pretty much why New England won all those games basically. The question is now Brady's knowledge was well known at that point, and he's a great offensive coordinator. Honestly, after Brady retires, it would make absolute sense for him to hire him as an offensive coordinator, not as a QB coach, not as any other coach, as an offensive coordinator. He'd be just as good because the fact is he knows how to read the offense and not read the defenses so well that I think he knows what to do and like create plays for the offense. Tom Brady would make an excellent offensive coordinator. Now, would he make an excellent head coach? I don't know about that. That's a different story altogether. I mean, that comes down to how well he does as an offensive coordinator. But coming back to it again, with Russell Wilson, I think he's not going to be fixable. I mean, the fact is that decline went down like that, unless you get him some really, 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 like let's say you get an OBJ in the team, and maybe a Mike Evans, and a decent enough tight end, almost like a Gronk type of person. I know Gronk's not coming back, but like a Gronk type of person for Denver. Then yeah, I think Wilson becomes decent enough again. But I think any quarterback in that situation will become decent enough at that point as well too, especially if you're under Sean Payton. I think if Sean Payton were to come and join, I think he would recognize probably Russell Wilson isn't so great, and I think he's like, we got to get rid of him basically and bring someone on board. And I think he's gonna. I honestly, if I'm Denver right now, or not Denver, if I am Seattle right now, specifically Pete Carroll, I go out and get Baker Mayfield, sign him for 2 years, maybe even 3 years. Use him because like I have a feeling that Pete Carroll can make Baker Mayfield what he can be. Not a superstar level, but good enough to lead your team into the Super Bowl again. But with that, I mean, there's only a handful of quarterbacks that you'll never. I would say that would be untouchable right now in the NFL at this point, which would be basically Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence for sure now because he's showing what he can do now, and I want to say maybe Tua Tagovailoa, Tua basically from Miami. I think he becomes sort of an untouchable at that point as well too. To be quite honest. Lamar Jackson, I don't know how good he is at this point as well too, and it's the same thing with Justin Fields and Jalen Hurts. I think they're tradable, honestly. I think they're honestly tradable. Um, oh, and Joe Burrows. Sorry, Joe Burrows is untouchable as well too. Actually, I would yes. So basically, yeah, it would be Allen, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrows, and Trevor Lawrence. I think those five are the true untouchables. If you had five people to choose from, if I had five people quarterbacks to choose from that are untouchable, that are untradeable, that you do not trade at all, those are the five. Um, Pretty much at this point, yeah, I would say. Anyways, to that aspect, um, if you think I'm wrong about, if you think I'm wrong about Russell Wilson, sorry, Russell Wilson, and he is definitely fixable and to the point I'm like, hey, surrounded with the right people, he becomes great again. Or two, you think he's like, he isn't that great. He's just all hype and nothing else, more than anything else, and it's really the coaches that have pretty much helped him out. Then please let me know. I welcome your comments and your feedback on that. I mean, I would love to have open discussions about this as well too. You're welcome to talk. Let's talk about it. With that, I leave it off as I normally do, basically unfiltered, unedited, and unrehearsed. Until next time.